Jacob wiped the sweat from his brow as he stood in the small backyard, eyes fixed on the horizon. Thick, heavy clouds rolled in faster than usual, darkening the sky in an ominous swirl. The weather app on his phone flashed a severe storm warning. Rain, strong winds, maybe even hail, the kind of storm that could tear a roof apart. Emma, his 6-year-old daughter, was chasing a bright yellow butterfly near the garden fence, her laughter ringing clear and innocent. Jacob's heart clenched. Their house was old, the roof patched more times than he could count, with leaks that turned the ceiling into a dripping mess during the last rain. "Em, come inside, sweetheart," Jacob called gently, but Emma didn't hear him. She was too caught up in her game. He knew he couldn't wait for the storm to hit. If he didn't act fast, the rain would pour through the ceiling, soaking their few belongings, and maybe even put Emma at risk. Jacob grabbed his worn toolbox from the porch, his hands trembling slightly, not from fear, but exhaustion. He'd been working 2 jobs just to keep the bills paid, and fixing this roof was the last thing he wanted to do on his day off. But this wasn't about convenience. It was about keeping his daughter safe. Jacob climbed the rickety ladder, each creak reminding him of the roof's fragility. He forced himself to ignore the ache in his back and the sting of the cold wind slicing through his jacket. Up here, with the sky darkening above, all he could think about was protecting Emma, no matter what. Jacob's fingers were raw and stiff as he worked quickly to secure the loose shingles scattered across the roof. The wind howled louder now, whipping his jacket around and carrying the first sharp drops of rain. Dark clouds churned overhead like an angry sea, and the scent of wet earth mixed with the distant rumble of thunder. His heart pounded, not just from the effort, but from the urgency. Every second counted. Below, Emma stood on the porch, her small hands clutching the railing tightly. Her wide eyes flicked between the sky and the ladder, worry etched on her face. Jacob caught her gaze and gave her a reassuring nod, though inside he was tense. She was all he had. Jacob pulled out a tarp from his toolbox and wrestled it into place, tying down the edges as best he could. His knuckles whitened on the nails. The storm was almost here. He could feel it in the sudden gusts that threatened to rip the tarp away. Lightning flashed in the distance. Thunder rolled closer. One last patch, one last nail, then down before it was too late. Just as Jacob climbed down the ladder, the rain exploded in sheets, drenching everything. Emma ran into his arms, and he held her tight, the cold water, soaking through their clothes but feeling like a small victory. They were safe for now. Jacob looked up at the battered roof and smiled faintly. They had beaten the storm. The morning after the storm, sunlight filtered weakly through scattered clouds, casting a soft glow on the still damp street. Jacob was outside, tidying up fallen branches and debris from their yard when a car pulled up slowly in front of the house. The vehicle was sleek and polished, a stark contrast to the weather-beaten neighborhood. A woman stepped out, sharp, confident, dressed in a tailored blazer and carrying a leather briefcase. Her heels clicked on the pavement as she approached the front porch, where Jacob paused, wiping his hands on his jeans. "Good morning," she said with a calm, measured tone. "I'm Claire Harper. I own much of the land around here, including this property." Jacob blinked, surprised. "You own this place?" His voice was cautious but curious. Claire nodded, her eyes steady. "More than that. I own half the state, actually. Inherited a lot from my family and built on it, over the years. It's a lot to take in, I know." Jacob swallowed, trying to process the weight of her words. Half the state? It sounded impossible. How could someone so powerful be standing on his little porch, talking about his roof and his home? "But why are you here?" Jacob asked, still wary. Claire smiled slightly. "I came by because I heard about the storm and saw the repairs you made. It takes guts to fix a roof before a storm hits. You clearly care about this place." Jacob shifted, unsure whether to be suspicious or relieved. "I want to help," Claire continued. "Not just with this roof, but with the house, the land, and maybe more. You've been through a lot. I think we can work something out. Jacob stared at her, heart pounding. The storm had tested him, but this was something new, something bigger. Jacob stared at Claire, still trying to absorb everything she'd just said. The idea that she owned half the state sounded like something out of a fairy tale, not his reality, but the sincerity in her eyes was real. I don't know what to say, Jacob admitted. I'm just trying to keep a roof over my daughter's head, and food on the table. Claire nodded, her expression softening. I get that. I wasn't always this lucky either, but I believe in helping people who work hard and don't give up. She pulled a folder from her briefcase, sliding a few papers across the porch railing toward him. Here's a plan for renovations, better insulation, a new roof, even some upgrades to make the house more energy efficient. I want you to live here safely, and if you're interested, I can connect you with resources to grow your small business, maybe even lease you some land nearby for expansion. Jacob's hands trembled as he picked up the papers. For the first time in a long time. Hope bubbled up inside him, stronger than fear or exhaustion. Emma peeked around the corner of the doorframe, eyes wide with curiosity. Jacob smiled down at her and took a deep breath. This could change everything, he said quietly. Claire stood, adjusting her briefcase. Let's take this one step at a time. You fixed your roof before the storm hit. That shows me you're a fighter. I want to fight with you, not against you. Jacob nodded, feeling a new kind of strength rise within him. The storm had tested them, but it also brought something unexpected, a chance for a fresh start. Over the next few weeks, Jacob found himself working alongside Claire's team of contractors and planners. The once crumbling roof was replaced with a sturdy new one, and the house slowly transformed. Windows were sealed tight, the walls insulated, and a small garden patch was cleared for Emma to play safely. Jacob still worked his day jobs, but now there was a spark of something different, a vision of stability. Claire often stopped by with advice, occasionally bringing meals or supplies. Emma took a liking to her, calling her Aunt Claire before Jacob could stop her. One afternoon, Claire handed Jacob the keys to a small nearby shed, offering it as a workspace for his side business, handmade furniture and repairs. Consider this an investment in you, she said warmly. Jacob looked around at the progress, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. What started as a desperate fight against a storm had blossomed into a partnership, one that promised not only safety, but a future. As Emma ran through the yard, laughing under the warm sun, Jacob knew that despite all the struggles, they were finally home,